So, welcome everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lori Milner. I'm a leadership coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a speaker. I have started my business doing what I'm doing since 2011. So, a lot of today is personal experience, knowing what it's like to be your own business owner. I'm going to jump straight into the content. And if you want to find any other stuff that I've done, go to Jetflix, and you can chat to Trace and the team about that. So, before I start telling you about scheduling and planning and how do we be more efficient, I think it's just being a little honest about this topic is probably what attracted you to this, is a sense of I'm not owning my time. And for most of us, that's the challenge. We get pulled by it. We get pulled by so many different demands, expectations of us, all the different roles we play. And so, really, today's not about, I'm going to tell you how to get more done in a day. Today is about how do I make sure that my time, my attention, and my values are all moving in the same direction. Because ultimately, when the day is about what matters to us, that's when we feel like we're owning our time. And so, really, time management becomes choice management. It's the choices of what we say yes to, what do we protect, what do we give away. But really, it's also about eliminating distraction about what we're not doing. So great, we've made a decision. I'm going to focus on the quote or the presentation. But at the back of our minds, it's that racing thoughts, that stress that's going, well, what about this? You could be doing that. So how do we start to really make the best choice in the moment? So we do not manage time, we manage ourselves. And it's again, we're managing those in the moment choices. Now we have 27 people in the room, and everybody's day is completely different. Everybody's world is different, schedule is different. So I can't give you, here's a one quick fix, here's a blanket approach that's going to be for everybody. This is about understanding my world, what's going to be the best strategy for me. So we're going to start with a short exercise. So I hope you've got a pen and paper. If you've got your phone, you can just make notes. And what I want us to do is to map out a typical day. Not the best day that you've ever had. Where are we today? I don't even know what day we're on. Typical Tuesday, let's call it. So from when we wake up to when we go to sleep. So what I want you to do is just map out, okay, what time am I waking up? Maybe I'm waking up at 6. Maybe think about it in 30-minute increments. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just think about the flow of my day. Time in traffic, meetings. Maybe you've got a family. Maybe there's kids drop off and collections, although some of ours are on school holiday. Email time, admin, thinking time, sales work, client work, interruptions. And then think about your evening as well. Now, we're not sharing this with anybody. So this is where you need to be honest with yourself. Let's say after dinner, how much time am I scrolling? How much time am I sitting on my laptop until all hours trying to get just another thing done? So this is not judgment. In order for us to change, I need to see where I'm at. So I'm going to time us 2 to 3 minutes, mapping out a typical day. So off you go. If anyone's got questions, please come off mute, but pretty self-explanatory. So we'll give it one more minute. And if any of you have finished, just look over what you wrote and start to see, do I spot a pattern? What's missing? Okay. So take the day you've just mapped out, and this is about asking ourselves, what about my day is working? What matters? Where's there a sense of joy? Where do I feel like I'm making a contribution? Then what's neutral? It's almost some of it's a little bit autopilot, or, if it's there, if it's not there, it doesn't matter. But really, it's about asking what is contradicting what matters to me? What is draining me? What is leaking my energy? What's distracting me? And this isn't about trying to balance the day. This is about noticing where my attention is going. So our attention is being spent all day, and some of it is draining us, some of it is holding us. So we need to be there, but it's not that core. And some of it really deserves us. So if we look at this day and we're going, okay, where did my attention actually go? Where did I want it to go? Where did it go? And then you want to ask yourself, well, if a stranger looked at this day, what would they say matters most to me? What am I spending founder level energy on that maybe someone else could own? And if my business keeps using my time like this, what does that mean for growth? So today is purely observation. Okay. And something just to think about is how much of your day included yourself? Did you show up in the day? Did you get the crumbs of your day? Did you fit into your day? Just a beginning observation. So when we talk about productivity, it's really about what is the best use of my time with the least wasted energy. Now, what we see is determined by what we don't see. So what's driving productivity, number one, is purpose. I don't mean why am I on the planet? It's what is the purpose for this masterclass, for this meeting, for this workshop, for this document? Because when I know why I'm doing it, it starts to bring the action into laser focus. And then it's priority. So what's the most important? Now, you could know why you're doing it. You could get a sense of what's the most important, but ultimately the question becomes, where did my attention go? We don't manage time. We manage what we give our attention to. And so start to think about it. And guys, you will get the slides as always. The slides will come to you after the session. So this is just small changes. So, okay, this week I'm going to do less of what? What should I protect half an hour for? And what's a small no I could begin to say to start to free up more time? And to get the right things done, choosing what to ignore, as we've said, is as important as choosing where to focus, because intention is not always enough. It's, I want to do this and I want to show up like that. But really, what shapes the day, what am I giving that attention to? Now, how do we start to help us make sure that our attention is going on to the right tasks so that we are being as effective as we want to with our time? Now, I know if I took off sharing and I said, okay, guys, who uses a to-do list? And everybody's going to proudly say, I do. And I want to challenge you to say, what if you didn't? Because for me, a to-do list has become a guilt list and a survival list. And it just gets longer throughout the day. It's also not that strategic. So the first thing on your list may just be the first thing you thought about, not necessarily the most important. So what if we ditched the to-do list and we introduced a success list? And the difference is that a success list has place for 3 big tasks. I know you're thinking, but I have so much to do in a day. But realistically, if we can get to 3 major tasks, meaning these are the needle movers, doing this is going to free up time, That's what we want to focus on. Not so, of course, we're going to have more than 3, but if we can aim to get these 3 done, we're starting to move forward. And what I'm going to say now sounds completely obvious, but guys, under pressure, common sense is not always that common. So we're going to take our success list. What are those 3 things? You are going to take your calendar and you are going to deliberately put in there, when am I going to get this done? Because a lot of us, even my C-suite clients, I'll say, do you use your calendar? No, I've got a to-do list. I write everything down. Or some people go, I know what I need to do. So then it just sort of spins in their heads. And then we get anxious because what if I forget something? But without real intention, any interruption that comes up is going to get our attention. So you're probably going, I know this. But if I came and sat next to you and I said, okay, show me your calendars for the next 2 weeks, would I get a sense? What's important? What skills are you building? Where are you building relationships? Where are you fitting yourself in? Would I see it? Or is your diary pretty much this flood of Teams meetings or Zoom meetings and you run your day by your inbox? So we arrive and we go, who needs me? And then it's all reactive all the time. So some tips, how do we start to own our calendar better? Focus on the most important before we check our inbox. So what I mean by that is, let's say you go, you know what, I've got this presentation on Friday, got to get that ready. So now you sit down and you know the one thing you need to do, but you go, let me just check my inbox. And what happens? The one priority becomes flooded by 10 other things that are probably not that urgent, but we deem it urgent. So do what you need to do and then open your inbox. No, you're not going to miss something urgent. If it was, you'd get a phone call or a WhatsApp. Then we want to plan our week before we in it. So I like to take a Friday, I like to take a Sunday, I look ahead to next week and I go, okay, firstly, where can my time not go? Meaning, who am I seeing? What are my client meetings? Do I have any school lifts? Do I have any other responsibilities? Are there things pre-scheduled? Now I can see really what's available to me and I'll go, okay, so then I can fit in prep here. I've got to do this here. Even more than a week ahead, I like to plan my month ahead. So I've got visibility. Also knowing when I'm going to get to something shuts down that anxiety of, am I going to get it done? So then we want to schedule outcomes, meaning don't just write admin. What are you going to do in the block of time? And think about your energy. So if you are a morning person, switch on early, put the big thinking stuff there. If you only switch on mid-morning, don't make your gym session at 5 in the morning. So start to match task to energy. We're going to schedule our personal life, and we all have other goals besides work, and until they are scheduled, they will remain a wish. And then we're going to talk about protecting this time slot, but also protect your thinking time, because most of us feel so busy. We're running, we're doing every role. We're not forcing time to go, okay, what does strategy look like? What do I need to focus on? So really blocking out that time to think so we're not so reactive. And guys, as much as I'm saying plan, we know life happens. We know the plan can go out the window. Something showed up. Just let it go. And then look at your calendar and go, okay, so I wanted to do it here. I had to attend to this. Where else can it go? And our calendar, it's not about recording time. It's a decision about our attention. And I like this slide because there's some of us that go, now some of us are a little bit more creative, or we go, I don't want to schedule. I will not be limited. You know, I'm just going to feel and see where the day goes. But guys, if you don't plan and schedule, ask yourself if you're very anxious and if you sleep well, because it's that discipline is freedom, blocking out that hour, 2 hours. This is when I'm working on it. That's my space to be creative or to brainstorm or whatever I need to do. The more that we can really start to be deliberate, the more really, the less anxiety we're going to have and the more efficient we will be. So we're not going to do this exercise, but what I want you to think about is, you know, we start to think about the tasks that we keep putting off from one day to the next. I'm going to do, okay, it moves to tomorrow, it moves to next week. Think about what is that? What is that task? Then what does doing look like and what does done look like? So what, when I've done it, will I see? Is it 3 bullet points? Is it the first 2 slides? We've said match to energy. And then we ring fence it. So you're going to open your calendar, you're going to slot it in the next week, not in the next month. And if something really genuinely comes up, what's the plan? Are you going to delegate? Are you going to break, maybe it's too big, maybe I need to break it down. I'm going to reschedule within 48 hours. So again, this is just taking what's important to me, taking what needs my attention and giving it a real place. And this is how we start to live by design, not by default, because at the moment we feel like our days are running us. So now here's a question. You will blocked out that slot of time. This is when I'm working on my task. You've put it in the calendar. Now, the problem is not that we don't know how to plan. The problem is that we don't know how to protect. What is going on with my slides? Ooh, let me see. Okay. This is about protecting that slot, because what do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on this. And anybody who wants our time and attention will go, okay, don't worry. Oh, it's fine. Let me do it for you. And guess when we do it? After hours, let me just work late tonight. And that one time we know compounds. And that's why we're exhausted. That's why we head to burnout. So some things around this. So firstly, no one likes to say no because we don't want to offend. We don't want to lose the business. We don't want to disappoint people. So what you can do is if someone says, can you help me? Can you do this? Is to say, well, let me just check my calendar and I'll come back to you. There's a buffer. So you don't have to say yes on the spot. Also ask yourself, do I say yes when I mean no? And then I hate myself and then I put myself in stress. So we're going to do a buffer. And then we want to start to manage expectations. So if you came back to the person and said, you know what, I'm really swamped this week. I've got an opening Wednesday afternoon. Does that work for you? And they'll probably say yes. We assume everything is urgent. We want to put ourselves under pressure. Of course, we want to show up and I'm the best that there ever was, but not to the point where your plate is full, you're taking on something else. And ultimately, if we compromise quality for quantity, it's that last piece of work that people remember us by. So as I've said, sometimes it doesn't have to be you. Sometimes it's an alternative solution. Sometimes it could be, here's a book. I'm going to send you an article until that you do have that availability. And I know this can be really difficult for some of us, but the more that we can get a bit braver and deliberate about blocking our time, it could even just be, I'm in the middle of something, got to get it out to the client, I'm on deadline. Can I come to you in an hour? Versus, sure. And then we lose sight of what we're doing. So half the troubles of life can be traced to saying yes too quickly and not saying no soon enough. And, sorry, someone called.
My loads are not working.
Guys, is there some problem with me or is someone not on mute? Okay, if you can all hear me, I'm going to go ahead. Guys, also, when you know what matters to you, when you know this is what I need to do, it's the leverage you need to say, look, I just can't do that right now. Let me finish and then I'll come back to you. And my favorite slide is from Anne Lamott, no is a complete sentence. Think about your weekends. Think about the downtime, guys, whether it's after hours, whether it's weekends. Are we recharging? Or someone says, will you come to my cousin's birthday or my kid's birthday party? Or there's a thing, there's a community this, and then we feel bad. And it gets to Sunday night and you're exhausted. You can just say, I'm so sorry, I can't make it. Thanks for thinking of me. I've got a commitment. I just need some downtime. Protect that space as well. You'll get the slides. So if I skip them, that's why. And this is also linked to this sense of saying no and protecting our time, is that time management comes down to boundary management. We can't control anybody. Who can we start with? Ourselves. I like to say, if we give ourselves kind of two lines in the sand, one is asking yourself, well, what time does my day officially start? Now, most of us are in our own businesses and you are the master of your diary. So you pretty much get to decide. If you can't, and there's a set time, let's call it 8 or 8:30, Right, line in the sand. Let's give all of us the same starting time. Maybe some of us want to start a bit later, flexi, but let's just call it half a state. So everything before that belongs to you. And what I hear over and over from my clients is that they'll go, I wake up and then 7 o'clock, I'm checking emails and I just start working because I don't want to fall behind or for all these reasons, rather than, and we're going to get into the self-care energy side, but why can't you take half an hour for you? Why are you imposing this? So decide, when am I starting? The time before that belongs to me. Then equally, when do I finish? Now, I know again, if some of us have got our own businesses, it feels like there is no end to the day, which is why this is most important for you than anybody. And even if we are in a corporate or working for someone else, we've got to decide, well, what is my line in the sand for the time I end? Is it 5? Is it 5:30? Maybe it's 6. So then honor that versus 7, I'm checking in, 8 o'clock, I'm checking in, 9 o'clock, I'm checking in, unless there's an emergency going on when we really don't need to be doing that. If you think about an iPad and you just launch every app, the battery starts to drain. And that's what we start to do with ourselves. So if we find it hard to set boundaries, we got to get a little bit curious and go, well, do I not want to disappoint people? I love to be the yes person. I'm the fixer. So if I start to push back, what does that mean? That's a whole different workshop in itself. But every unnecessary yes has a cost, guys. Fragmented attention, lower quality decisions, slower team growth, exhaustion, founder bottleneck. So boundaries are infrastructure. So maybe instead of just send it to me and I'll sort it out. Okay, come to me with 2 options and what you think. Because we also want to encourage people. How do we help people become more resourceful? Instead of, well, yes, I'll get onto it now. Let me look at it at 3. Do you need it before, or what do you need before to move it forward? And lastly, instead of, let me just do it, because we think no one will do it as well as us, who should own this so that it doesn't come back to me? But again, also think about if you're telling me that you're exhausted and you're working late and you don't know how to manage your day because there's too much. Are you protecting the team? Are you not delegating? Are you taking on more than is yours because no one can do it as well as me? And remember, the more we do that, the more we're preventing other people from growing and we're overloading ourselves. So really, only once you give yourself permission to stop trying to do it all, to stop saying yes to everyone, can you make your highest contribution to things that matter. Now, I had a client who went on leave and phoned me furious because she said, I cannot believe someone had the audacity to call me during my leave. And I asked them, did you put your out of office on? She went, no, I didn't want people to think I'm not available. So now, again, do we do that? Are we so scared that, if we're not available, someone they're going to change suppliers or providers? We have to protect our own boundaries, guys. So this is just reflections for you to sit with in your own time. So again, the biggest question to ask yourself is, am I saying yes when I mean no? But then what does that cost me? What am I telling myself if I think I've disappointed someone? Is there a small boundary? Where can I start to protect it better this coming week? And really, who am I willing to disappoint? Me or other people? So what have we looked at so far? We have said, how do I start to live by design? Meaning, I need to start scheduling, being more deliberate, deciding when the slots go. Then I need to protect it. So yes, I've outlined time, but I need to guard it. And then there's stuff that shows up that does start to waste. Well, we call it wasting our time. And these are things sometimes we're not aware of, but we all know procrastination, right? And what is it? It's the habit of putting off something to a later time. And for many reasons, we can justify procrastination. Well, for some of us, it's boring. Some of us, I just don't know where to start, so I delay it. I'm scared I'm going to fail. So what do? We put it off, and we want to replace the habit of delaying with the habit of starting. Now, think about times where you've just ignored something. You know you should be doing it, and you are draining your energy tank, and you go, I haven't started. I'm supposed to start. I've got to get this thing done. And the not starting is what starts to deplete us. So instead, it's the secret is start as tiny as possible. So don't think, I'm going to do the presentation. Slide one. I just want to start. What is one bullet? What is one heading? What does that look like? Same with self-care. Don't tell yourself you need an hour. Do something in 10 minutes, 5 minutes. So the more we can shrink it, the easier it is to start. But the real reason why we do delay is that procrastination is really an emotion management tool. Because think about something you're putting off. Think about something you're delaying, and you know you should have started. Often it's because it intimidates us. Some of us wear the perfectionist hat. What if I'm judged? And then we make it bigger than it needs to be. So a 15-minute presentation to my team or my client becomes the whole future of my role is in this 15-minute presentation. So we freak ourselves out, and then we just go, well, I just want to avoid it. So to avoid those uncomfortable feelings, I just avoid the task, which again comes back to shrink it down. But what I really want to land today is often we're very good at doing the tasks that we commit to other people. So I'll do deadlines, I'm great. Everybody else's promises, I'm great. Then I tend to procrastinate on my health and the stuff for me. So notice, and I've seen it often, like someone signed up to study, and when it comes to the studying, oh, it's for them, so I'll do it later. Or health, it's like I'm waiting until I'm on the floor, can't move before I send myself to the doctor. So notice, am I putting off what's important to me because it's for me? And I love the philosophy of micro wins. So it's the smaller start. So once you've done that first slide, it's like progress, amazing. Now I can move on to the next thing. The micro win could be 3 mindful breaths. I read 1 paragraph, but it's getting in the habit of starting. And then the other question to get out of procrastination is to ask yourself, what is the impact on my brand? Meaning so I had a client who, when I say was a terrible procrastinator, horrific and really destructive. So I sat down with her the one day and I said, what do you want your boss to think about you? Her boss's name's Lindy. So I said, what do you want Lindy to, how do you want her to associate you? And she went, reliable, trustworthy, and indispensable. I said, okay, so when you're delivering, and this was Exco notes, and they're late, and then she's late to her bosses, and it doesn't look great, how do you think she's going to think about you? And the penny dropped. It was like, how can I be indispensable, but then delay? And so in our heads, we're going through all this anxiety, but outwardly, it looks like we're not reliable. Can we plan? Are they going to trust us with something bigger? So really start to ask yourself that the next time you find yourself procrastinating. And just something else that takes a lot of our time, and I'm not going to go into it in detail, but often our meetings. And just, think to yourself before, how do I be more intentional? So not off the meeting, it's going to waste my time, but rather, what can I bring? What is an insight? What is a question? How am I building my brand? Because showing up's not enough. It's that contribution. And you'll ask yourself again, am I bringing value into the room? What would it look like to show up with intention rather than, well, I just need to be here? Even for your clients, even if it's a check-in, even if it's a status meeting, maybe it's another status meeting, but what could I do to really add value? And even though a lot of our time goes into meetings, how do we transform them? And not every meeting's going to be like this. But again, meetings are not where time is spent, but where reputations are formed. And the last thing that is a time waster is perfectionism. And a lot of us really hold true to this. Like, that's my label, that's my badge, I'm such a perfectionist. But there's a quote that says perfectionism is self-abuse of the highest order. I had a client who, again, delayed because she wanted to make it perfect. And I said to her, okay, when this is perfect, how will you know? And she couldn't answer me. She went, I don't know. So what does perfectionism look like? Done is better than perfect. Get it out, get the draft out, then use AI, have a good conversation, let it help you polish and improve it, but it's not up to us to make it perfect. It's up to us to deliver, then figure out how we're going to edit. And guys, it's progress. Even if we're starting a new habit, moving into a new territory, maybe it's a new client, something that we haven't done before. It's not about doing it perfectly. It's, am I getting better? Am I better than I was last week, a year ago? And that should be the goal. So a talk on time management would not be complete without talking about balance. And great news, balance does not exist. I love this quote, the slide from Robin Sharma, and you can see, calls it the fireballs of life. And work is a rubber ball, so you can drop it, it'll come back up. But the other balls are glass. And if we drop them, we'll smash. And for me, the slide is, where am I putting my attention? Is it going into the right place? I hate the word balance. I love the word harmony, because harmony is going to look, there are 37 different versions of harmony right now in this room. And what's going to feel true for me is not going to feel true for you. So we want to design our lives in a way that we don't need to keep escaping from it. And for me, harmony is presence minus guilt. So when I'm at work, I'm all in, I'm working, I'm here, I'm not feeling bad that I'm not with my loved ones. But probably more importantly, when I'm with my loved ones, stop feeling guilty that you're not working, because we know there's always, it's like, I could be doing something else. In your mind, you're there, but you're thinking in emails and to-do lists. So we are not work life. This is our world. It's about health, our family, our friends, our relationships, our mission, finances, adventure, hobbies, spirituality, and growth. And the question is not, oh, I need to balance all of these. It's right now, if I had to score myself out of 10 in the last 30 days in each area, just start to notice which would get higher scores, which would get lower scores. And the point is not to try and do it all well. It's just noticing what is not in harmony. What am I neglecting? So maybe family is a solid 8. I'm getting home, we're having a dinner together, then I work after hours, but we've got that time. Maybe personal growth is a 2. Maybe adventure is a 2. Fun. Geez, I don't remember the last time I had fun. So it's saying, okay, what could I do in the next 3 weeks to bring a bit of fun? Does that mean playing a board game? Does it mean going to a show? If it's personal growth, I might just listen to an audio book on the way to work, or a podcast while you're getting ready in the morning. And slowly, slowly, we want to start to bring the different areas into focus, into harmony. So in other words, where's getting my attention? And you'll get these slides to do the exercise again. But if I just gave a little more intentional attention to certain areas, how would that start to shift things? So what if we replace work-life balance, as we said, with work-life choices? Now, if we look at that wheel is not out of alignment because we're lazy. It's out of alignment because we are depleted. And if there's one thing we take away from today, is that time management is truly energy management. Think about it. You could have, I've got the best calendar, I've planned my whole month, I know what I'm doing, but if I'm showing up running on fumes, I'm not going to be of any value to me, to my clients, to my loved ones. So it's less about doing energy better and more about, email, and more about doing energy. So guys, my favorite definition is that self-care is self-remembering. And think back to that list we wrote, the first exercise you did. Are you in there? How much of you is in there? If you are in there, I'm very proud of you, but for most of us, we are not appearing. So self-care truly comes down to, am I remembering myself? I'm putting everybody else first. Where am I fitting in? And self-care starts the moment you stop apologizing for your own needs. And for some of us, this is going to hit you. For some of us, we're already doing it. So we're not getting into the specifics of what we need to do, because we know we should be exercising, nutrition and hydration. Please, please, minimum 7 hours a night. relaxing, mindfulness, connecting. And so the gap between what we know and what we do is really about this philosophy of micro wins. Stop thinking we need a lot of time. We need to do something big. A micro win, let's say you decide, you know what, I'm stressing, I'm anxious. I'm going to think about this meditation story. And all I'm going to do is 3 mindful breaths. So I wake up and I do my 3 mindful breaths. And just that little promise, it's about confidence, because the more I'm keeping the promises I make to myself, the more I'm building self-trust, the more I'm showing myself I can rely on myself. Guys, it could be like, for those of you, probably nobody knows. So I had back surgery. I'm in my 7th week of recovery. And I was an avid exerciser. I loved training, loved gym, was there for an hour every day. And all I was allowed to do for the first 6 weeks, you're allowed to walk for 10 minutes, 3 times a day. And every time I did my 10 minutes, I was proud of myself. It's like, yay, I got to do it. But just because you couldn't do the hour, great. I did 10 minutes 3 times a day. And that was enough. If you take 10 minutes 3 times a day, maybe you can take more in the morning. What can you start to make progress on? And it's not the amount of time we dedicate, it's consistency. So great, you could have a brilliant gym day tomorrow and then not go for 3 weeks. So how do we start to own our energy? I always say if we can own the first and the last 15 minutes of the day, you will change your day, you will own your time. So why the morning? Because the morning is going to unfold more predictably. So just get up 20 minutes earlier. You don't have to wake up at 5. So stop binge watching Netflix till 11. Get up 20 minutes earlier. And what is that for you? Is it exercise, walking, journaling, meditation, reading, studying? Just some people go, I just want to sit in my kitchen with a cup of coffee and no one near me. Then do that. So how do we earn the morning? Because why do we do this? It energizes us. It's giving us what we need. It's putting us in a peak state. So number 1, don't check your phone unless it's to switch off the alarm. Because if you check your phone and you check your messages, you're going to go, oh, there's too much going on. I can't do this. And then don't hit snooze. And the only reason we hit snooze, because we haven't really made a decision about what we want to do. So that morning routine begins the night before. So the night before, go, what would I love to do tomorrow? How do I set myself up for success? Prep, leave the clothes out, leave the mat out, leave the book, leave the username and password. So as I'm waking up, straight into my micro win. So again, start to ask yourself about the stories we tell ourselves. Am I feeling guilty? Am I telling myself a story that I'll fall behind? I'll lose my clients. It's selfish. Sit in the question, because exposure is the antidote to anxiety. You have to show yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes and build it up, because that sense of being energized, you're going to think, why didn't I start sooner? So it's also not just to-do lists, but to-feel lists. And if you ask yourself, how do I truly want to feel at the end of each day? Stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, just content and grateful and present. The way to create those feelings is going, where in my calendar are those activities? What am I doing to produce that result? So to-do lists manage tasks, and your to-feel lists manages identity. So it's asking ourselves, where are you leaking energy? Where does it not need to go? So a few other definitions. Self-care is receiving the support of others. Guys, we often tend to think we need to do it all on our own. Where can we ask for help? Where are we not? And give yourself permission to pause. It doesn't mean you have to grind throughout the day. Get up after 90 minutes, get a glass of water, because if you are planning your leave when you are absolutely burnt out, exhausted, it's too late. So even if it's a half day, but take a few days off, plan that time so that it's anticipation, but we have to recharge. And it's, if you think about, honestly, it's the energy that we bring in. We are responsible for the energy we're bringing to ourselves, to our teams, how we're showing up for our teams, our loved ones. And the way that we do that to show up in the way we want, again, is self-remembering. So it's giving the world the best of us instead of what is left of us. And often we go, oh, but what if I start, and we're focusing on the cost of action, but this is the cost of inaction. So where am I going to be 6 months, 3 years from now if I don't make a change? Because at the end of the day, we get to ask a question. Do you want to be the warning, or do you want to be the example? Meaning, do you want to be the person that, oh, sure, they're in burnout for the third time, they're pushing themselves too hard, or do you want to role model to your teams? This is what it looks like to role model self-care, to role model, I can be the founder and I can still produce. I can be part of the team, being a leader, and role model what it looks like to have healthy energy. So the last part of today is that time management is really about identity management. And if we think about the day you wrote down, and then think about what would that person say is the most important. And then think about our calendar is quietly building our future self. So the decisions we're making today, the habits we're doing today are forming a future version. Now, if I said to you, are you the same person you were 5 years ago? So we're still somewhere in COVID. Are we the same person we are today? Absolutely not. So logic dictates we are not going to be the same person in 5 years' time. Now, if you can see current you and future you as two different people, you are going to start to make very different decisions about where your time and your attention go. Now, let's say 5 years' time, you've got this huge business plan and it's amazing, and Oprah's interviewing you, and you're going to do all this public speaking around the world. But the you of today is an introvert, and you're going, oh, I hate public speaking. I'm just the behind the scenes person. For me to set future self up for success, I need to start getting comfortable now. So I have to be authentic to them, putting myself out there, maybe doing some courses, just getting in uncomfortable situations so that I'm practicing the skills so that I can set future self up for success. And even if we're not going 5 years into the future and we think, well, how does December me want to end the year? Again, what are the choices I'm making today? And what future self does is it becomes a filter. It's a filter for what I say yes to, what I say no to, what I'm giving my time and attention to. So this is not about discovering who you are. It's deciding who you want to be and then permitting yourself to become that person. So the only way we make our present better is to make our future bigger. And sometimes we get into phases, people, it's happened to you, where you just feel stuck. It's like, oh, I'm in this place, I don't know how to get out of it. It's because we've lost a compelling future vision. Meaning, if I'm telling myself I'm shy today, I'm terrible with conflict, I don't know, I'm charging low rates because I'm scared of losing the business. Well, future me is super confident, and they can navigate this, and they can set boundaries, and they know what they're worth. It's almost going, the stuff that's holding me back today, that's just a present version that can shift. So if we think about our future self, right? This is just starting to get curious. Well, how much money do they make? Who are their clients? What kind of work are they doing? What kind of talents do they have? What kind of a leader are they? What feelings dominate their day? I'm pretty sure it's not anxiety and worry and self-doubt. And think, well, what time do they wake up? What does a morning routine look like? What are they doing before bed? But also, how are they navigating change and challenge, uncertainty, conflict? How do they manage boundaries and time? So what I want you to start thinking about is personality is not permanent. The owner I am today, the person I am today is not set in stone. So we're going to do something I want you to think about. So your future self entrepreneur, our future self, if we're not entrepreneurs, our future self best person. So our time is not just shaping our week, it is shaping who you are becoming. So if you think about the entrepreneur, the business owner, the leader you want to be 2 to 5 years from now, that future version of you, they lead differently, they protect their time differently, they decide differently, They delegate differently. They rest differently. They focus and they say no differently. So the bottom line, your future self is not built in big moments, but it's built in repeated decisions. So again, what are the decisions? What we're protecting, what we're tolerating, what we're postponing. Sorry, that shouldn't say what your calendar, how you schedule your calendar, what you stop carrying alone, and what you keep promising yourself, and if we're following through. So we have, okay, we've got lots of time. So we have 3 minutes. And in that 3 minutes, or let's say 2 minutes even, what is one thing your future self would want you to stop saying yes to? And what is one thing your future self would want you to protect? Because your future business is shaped by the founder you practice being now. So let's just sit for 2 minutes, maybe just reflect on a minute per question. What do you want to stop saying yes to? What would they really appreciate? And what would they really want you to protect? So if we go back, and guys, you can do this exercise anytime. So sorry, I'm giving you 2 minutes, but this is just planting seeds today. So if you think back to the day you wrote down, does it reflect your current or your future self? And so everything we do is categorized as a cost or an investment to future self. So the question again, what are we still saying yes to that your desired future self would say no to? Is it procrastination? Is it scrolling? Is it avoidance? And so rather than asking, what would I like to do today? So, you get up tomorrow, we're very inspired, we took some ideas, and instead of going, well, what should I do? It's saying, what would future self really want me to do today? Because our lives don't change because of one masterclass. It changes in the promises that we keep to ourselves. And every time we keep a promise, we're moving in that direction. Our future self is changed, shapes us by what we give our attention to, what we protect, but ultimately, it's the next promise you keep. So on that note,